everyone's doing well, and welcome back to another video. I know it's been a little while, so first of all, guys, Happy New Year to everyone. Hope everyone's had a good holiday period and they're looking forward to the upcoming year, right? So cool. I thought I'd make a video today for everyone, right, where we can sort of go over the upcoming high time frame expectations, right? So kind of like a yearly outlook slash weekly outlook mixed together. But more importantly, right, is the focus on the fact, January has started now. I would assume that there's not a lot of volatility we'll expect over maybe the next 2, 3, pushing it 4 weeks potentially. We had something quite similar last year, but just to start the year, things will pick up slowly. So what's important in that time is that people aren't on the charts trying to force trades. The chart's not moving and you're sitting in trades for ages. It's just chopping sideways and spreads are high and whatnot, right? Instead, you can be productive with your time and think about what you're potentially going to do different this year, right? Now, what that means is, right, for a lot of you guys over the year, hopefully you've journaled, right? You've taken your notes. You have a good understanding of your system if you're up to that point by now, which hopefully, if you've watched most of my content, you should be. And you're ready to make some sort of improvements, right? Now, the main thing when it comes to, I would say, improvement in really any sense, you can apply this to a lot of things, right? Is data. Businesses use this, right? Even people use this in things like the gym, right? If, I don't know, you do running, we use data. You look at your old records, you look at how fast you go, where you run, blah, 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 time of day, etc. And you build an understanding of, okay, this is when I perform well, or this is when a given business performs well, and this is when it doesn't, right? And it's very similar with our trading. It's no different, right? It's a rule of thumb. Over the year, you've probably collected data. You've probably journaled your trades. You've got a good idea of what session you've been trading, right? What works, what doesn't work. So now, going into this new year, right, this new trading year, it's very important that you go over these things. You want to go back, you want to do a lot of evaluation, right? And this evaluation should involve going over any potential bad behaviors, right? Being confident and understanding where your strengths are, right? Maybe it's trading a specific session, specific times, specific pairs, right? And keeping those as they are and making sure we're cutting out some of the bad, right? And further to that, it's not just, better trading. Of course, in the general sense it is, we all want to be better traders, we all want to have better performance, but make sure we have some sort of goal setting as well, right? This is what I would say is very important. You want a clear pathway for what you want to achieve and what you want to do, right? For a lot of you traders, for a lot of you guys that watch my videos, right, this will be something I would say pretty obvious, or you can make it very specific. It can be a certain amount of capital. You may say, by the end of this year, I want to make sure that I will achieve at least 500k in funding, right? Or reach X amount of payouts, right? Make sure you set a specific goal, right? Perhaps don't set something too unrealistic. Try not to be too ambitious. Again, the data comes first, your evaluation, understanding where you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, how you will improve that, right? Make it very, very practical, guys. Understand, then apply, right? And that application will always come after the understanding, because you can't start applying things before you even know what you need to do. Don't make assumptions about yourself. Look at your data if you've collected the data properly, and it will tell you everything that you need to know. And, perhaps for some of you, it may even be a point to make sure you collect the data properly this year if you didn't do it last year, because this is when it comes in use, right? And as I was saying for the goal setting, we need to make sure based on that, we're not setting something too unrealistic, right? If you're a person that hasn't even potentially passed the phase one, then perhaps it's unrealistic to say, oh, this year I hope to achieve 1 million in funding, right? But of course, let's assume you're a person that managed to get 200k in funding this year, you've managed to get 2, 3 payouts, then to say that, you want to get 1 million in funding is very, very reasonable by the end of the year, right? So just have that in mind. Set goals that are challenging but realistic, and work towards them. And like I said, be very, very specific, because it will come in use to you, and it will give you a clear sort of idea of which direction you want to head in, what your plan is, and even with your funding, plan out. These are the prop funds I want to go with, right? I'm gonna start with FTMO. I'm gonna go to my funded FX. Then I'm gonna go to wherever it is, right? Figure it out. Be very specific. Have it written out. Have it in front of you, and just keep that there, right? Cool. But yeah, that's really and truly, that's the start. That's the main thing that a lot of you guys need to do. And some of you may have already done this as a sort of end of year review for yourself for 2024 potentially. But if you haven't, like I said, the start of January will, give you a bit of time. Make sure you put in that work, give yourself that head start, do that back testing if you need, go over certain concepts, consolidate certain things in your strategy, model, whatever it is, right? But use the time wisely. Only you specifically will know what you need to do once you look over everything, right? Cool. Now we can go into our charts properly. So, before we start marking up things, where have we left off? So now we know Trump is being elected. We know that is essentially good for the economy. And overall, we're expecting a lower dollar to come for us, right? On top of that, we know the central bank is essentially, they're not going to be hiking from this point. They don't need to. The inflation targets are being met. And from here, we expect the interest rates to drop, which also goes along with our thesis for a lower dollar, right? So cool. We know we have a very clear buy side target here on the bond yield. If you go on the yearly chart, this also happens to be the previous yearly high, and it's very close to us. This is definitely an area I would pay attention to, and I would expect it to get run right before we have some sort of major reversal. It is a very nice area to tag previous monthly high, previous yearly high, take them together, sweep, and then we can consider that reversal. Right? Cool. I'll expect something very similar here. Right? Got the previous yearly high, we can mark this, potentially because this is a little bit further away, what we may see is the US 30 year might run it, the US 10 year might not, but either way, it will give us a valid idea. Cool. Delete some of these old markings. Cool, yeah. We've got a very nice OTU range, prices already sort of started trading into this. What we may see is a weekly IO Fed to give us that nice kick up and the completion of this market maker buying model all the way back up here. And then, we've got this little cluster, this little consolidation, which would make for a very nice high time frame market maker sell model if we can offset the buy side liquidity from over here. All right. And then the main one, our DXY. So cool. Okay, I see I have this nice range marked, right? So power time frame. We have an accumulation, then we had a sweep of internal liquidity and a very clear run up. Now this is something you can, sort of visually see on a low time frame chart, or rather any chart, but if you wanted to go and observe it on a low time frame chart, it'll play out quicker. It's this very common pattern where we have an accumulation, then you get this sort of burst of energy one way, which tends to be what? The manipulation, and then begins the distribution, right? As ICT says, manipulation tends to be very fast and exciting, and that is the sort of thing we've seen here for the dollar, right? We started off January, we've swept that buy side, we've actually already taken the previous monthly high, right? And of course, we can look to work a little higher from where we're sitting. So, of course, we've taken the previous yearly high as well, considering we took December's high. So I wouldn't really expect the XY to reach towards here. From here, I think the next major move, once the bond yields, do give us that buy side sweep and that potential reversal, is then the same for the DXY, really. That's it, right? Just expecting DXY to work its way all the way down here. Now, like I said, I'm not expecting a lot of volatility, but I believe Trump, who's been elected now, comes in towards the latter end of January, right? So once he comes in, I would expect that things sort of get into motion. He gets elected, maybe there's some sort of decision making they use at the front. All these things happen, and then that will finally allow DXY to actually start that distribution. And it really wouldn't surprise me if over here we get some sort of large accumulation to begin the year, run up, manipulation below, a very, very classic AMD reversal to then start this market maker sell model. Cool. So Euro GBP already been ripping through a lot of our targets. We're very, very bearish on this. I think we got some good movement. And, just very simply looking at this, we have a sitting duck of a target here. We started the month by trading higher. I would anticipate, we run the previous monthly high, very likely. Right, maybe dig a little higher, a bit more buy side liquidity, and then from there I would anticipate price to then run lower and continue towards this, and after that even further continuation towards downside. The next sort of sell side target is quite far away, but we have a very large accumulation and we're finally breaking out of this, so I would anticipate that price digs down at least a decent bit, somewhere around here before we get some sort of relief or a reversal. Cool. This is a big one for a lot of you guys. Everybody's excited for crypto now. Something I definitely wanted to touch on and speak on about crypto. What we have is a very large range, right? From this low, about 50k, all the way up to 108k is our sort of working range, right? Now, what typically happens with crypto is when we have these sort of large pullbacks, these retracements, people start to panic. When this panic sets in and there's a lot of fear in the market, that is typically the best time to buy. When there's a lot of excitement and prices are all the way at the peak, that is the best time to sell. It's very simple, right? It's that general principle of buy low, sell high. Now, what's very important with crypto, we know this, that it takes some time to move. Sometimes it gets into these consolidations and you have to be very patient. And that's why usually with crypto, playing the sort of long game is a lot less headache and a lot easier. As long as you just time your entries, you do your dollar cost average and whatever you do, just makes your life easier, right? Now, the point that I'm trying to make is I would anticipate that from here, Bitcoin trades a little lower before we go higher. At the very least, I would expect a sweep on the previous monthly low. Now, if from there price happens to dig a decent bit lower, right, towards the 70Ks, potentially even the 60Ks, it's not necessarily something to be very, very worried about. Unless we're seeing some sort of major displacement and, it's sponsored by a news event or Trump says something crazy, it's nothing to worry about. I think it's very likely that Bitcoin retraces and then we will also get another push up, right? Once more, at the very least, if not more than that, towards potentially something like 120k, right? A nice round number. So from here, all we're doing is just being a bit patient. If you're somebody that's looking to invest and sort of hold for the longer term, of course, at your own risk, because this isn't investment advice, you'd probably want to wait till price is somewhere in this discount range, right? Price is low, then you can have a sort of safer entry, be confident about entering in a good place, and then of course hold as price trades higher, right? Cool. Now, I know that a lot of people do not hold, right, our just, the main coin, the Bitcoin, right? So you're going to be in altcoins, all sorts of coins. So what we want to see, and we discussed this last time, is actually a reversal in this, which is Bitcoin dominance, meaning the money that's being held in crypto is actually flowing into other things rather than Bitcoin. And what it looks like right now is actually not too bad. You've got some nice displacement down, bit of an AMD reversal, OTE, and if this first leg, right, can come down and head back towards this point around 54.5%, then it's very, very likely we get a continuation down. If we get a nice move down on this, right, then it's very likely, if Bitcoin relatively holds its price, then it's very likely we get what people call altcoin season, right, or alt season, where all these sort of smaller coins, these mid-range coins, will then catch up to that move that Bitcoin has made. And if anything, they're going to be flipping a lot harder, they're worth a lot less, so the money's flowing in and out quicker, right? So this is definitely something to keep your eyes on. And the last one, right? Had a very bullish year for the S&P, right? Very nice up candle. We come back down to our monthly time frame. We had a large retracement there. Remember this very clearly. It was a major move in the year. Big reversal to then go higher. Now, I anticipate this to continue, along that same theme with what we expect from Trump and his presidency, DXY lower. We expect strength in our, sort of risk on assets. And of course, the stock market is one of the biggest. What we'd like to see to start the year is probably something like this, a very, very clear low to be held, right? And a retracement anywhere in this range. In this retracement, of course, we're going to get some sort of sell side sweep. It's very likely, if you draw an OT from here to there, we're going to see a nice sweep of a potential previous monthly low in here, right? Yeah, definitely previous monthly low, and we can definitely dig even lower into this discount to then continue higher. But it's very simple, right? Where the S&P is now is not, like I said, a great place to trade. Anyways, we want to see that added volatility. But once we do start getting a run towards here, I believe this is the previous monthly low. If we can run this, and then of course you get that textbook kick up, prices starting to trade higher and whatnot, right? It's just a signal. It's a good time to start day trading. You're going to have your targets working back up towards this accumulation and whatnot. But yeah, guys, that is pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys paid a lot of attention, especially at the start. I think that's the more important bit with this sort of higher time frame outlook. It's just a quick one, right? It's just a brush over, give everyone a refresher. If anything, we will come back to these things before we, fully jump back into day trading. But with the rest of the things, as usual, if you guys need any help at all, please just drop me a message and I'll be happy to help.